Let us understand the basic building block of cloud. For understanding purpose, we are going to consider AWS Cloud Infrastructure. So within AWS, we have a service called EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, where I can create an EC2 instance which is going to have X amount of capacity of processing power and storage. Whenever I start an instance, I need to provide what operating system and what is the storage capacity, what is the processing capacity, and the other configuration in terms of what are all the ports needs to be open and how it's going to connect with the network. So these basic informations would facilitate to create the instance. I'm going to create an instance and see the features of scalability and availability. Amazon provides free tier. For understanding purpose, free tier should be sufficient enough to start the instances. I'll be getting into the EC2 services, and anyone with a credit card should be in a position to register with the AWS free tier account. Elastic Compute Cloud, in short, we call it as EC2. Within this particular location, I can start an instance. And it's going to give the option what should be the base operating system. Whether Amazon Linux, Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu, or various operating systems I can choose. I'm going ahead with the Amazon Linux. And it will ask me the version or the capacity of my instance. T2.micro is free, where I'll be getting 1 GB RAM and 1 core processor. I can go ahead with any instance that I want. Let me go ahead with the T2 small, where I'll be having 2 GB of RAM. I can request whatever the instances that I want, I can request. And the networking, in case if I want to set, I can set virtual private network as well. I'll leave all other values default. I'll add storage, where it will get the option on how much amount of hard disk should get added and what is the type of hard disk. I'm going to add SSD of capacity 8 GB. And if I want to tag this particular instance, I can add a name to it. And configure the security group, where what are all the ports it should be opened to access. I'll be opening the port 22 with which I'll be connecting to this particular instance, and I'm going to open only my IP address. This is my system IP address. Say review and launch. I can review the details that I have provided and say launch. It'll ask me to create or select a key pair to log into the instance. Amazon Cloud uses private public key authentication to log into the Linux machines. I'm going to create a new key. And this is the only location where it will provide the option to download. I'll be downloading the key. I have downloaded the key and I'll launch the instance. The instance should be up and running within few minutes. When the instance is getting ready, let us prepare the Putty client to log into the instance. There is a client called Putty which will facilitate us to log into any remote instance. I'll be using a tool called Putty Gen to convert the key into a key format which is compatible within the Windows operating system. It gives a format of .pem, PEM, and that can be used directly if it is a Linux operating system. If it is Windows operating system, we need to convert the key so that it is compatible with the Windows operating system. I'll load the key. I'll say the private key in the format of PP key. So I do have the key. Now I can log into the instance by providing the host name. We can get the host name by selecting the instance and the public DNS with which we are going to connect to. I'll provide the host name. And the user ID, by default, it provides user ID EC2 user. Every instance, it gives a default user ID with which I can log in. Under SSH, I'm going to provide the key with which I am going to log in. The PPK file I will select. Under connection, I will make sure this particular connection should be active and alive forever. It will keep sending a keep alive signal every 30 seconds. appearance, let me make it a little bigger with 14 as the font size. Save the session, save open. First time it's going to verify the fingerprint and signature. I'm into this instance which is readily available and I have the sudo user permission. I can install anything that I want as long as it is legal. For the test and understanding purpose, let's go ahead and install a small HTTP server and see how things are going to work. I'm going to install PHP and HTTP server. HTTP server is nothing but a small web server. It's going to host the web pages. So I'll install the PHP and I'll install HTTPD. And it looks like it's already installed. I'm going to start the service. Sudo service HTTPD start. So the service should get started. I can check the status of this particular service, whether it is up and running. Yes, it is up and running. And we can very well verify this by accessing the public DNS from the browser, and by default it runs in the port 80. If I try to access, it should not be accessible. The reason because the port we have not opened for the port 80. So this particular machine is going to listen only in the port 22 to log in through the SSH. I'm going to open the port 80 as well for everyone. I'll open port 80. That's HTTP protocol. It's going to run in port 80 for everyone. I'm getting the test page. That means the web server that we are running within the instance is successfully running and it is able to get me the test page in port 80. And any additional page if I want to add, I can add it in this specific location. I don't have any page over here. A small PHP page, let me go ahead and add. I'm going to add a content. A simple PHP file, it's going to display a couple of lines and it's going to display the host name of the machine where this particular server is running. So I do have a file index.php. Now I should be in a position to access that specific page from here. So we are able to start an instance and add a file into the web root of the web server and able to access this particular file from the browser, from the internet. So this is a very good example of where we can start any instance within no time. It's going to hardly take 3 or 4 minutes to get the instance up and running.